Ask for a motion to approve the minutes. Supervisor Gerard, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the sheriff. Good morning, Sheriff.
Yeah, and thanks for Brian for letting me go first. Many of you knew Ed Letwa. He passed away, and we're having a funeral today. So I'd like a moment of silence for Ed. Thank you. A first request is permission to send Sergeant Gerard, Officer Stillman, Backus, and Seeley to attend the dive training in Alexandria Bray. This is free training by the State Police.
A motion by Supervisor Simpson, seconded by Supervisor Brock. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Request permission to send Major LaFar, Lieutenant Stockdale, Lieutenant Corsones to supervisors training in Saratoga. Cost is $900.
Motion by Supervisor Taylor, seconded by Supervisor Brock. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Resol request for a new contract with Myers Power Products to provide maintenance services and replace batteries in Corrections Division uninterrupted power supply. The cost is $13,856.
Do we have a motion? By Supervisor Frazier. Second by Supervisor Gerard. I think. And go ahead.
Is this all budgeted, Bud?
Yes. Yep.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries.
And last new contract is with to renew the contract with Black Creek Integrated Systems for inmate management software. The cost is $20,926.75, and this is part of our budget.
Motion by Supervisor Gerard. Do we have a second? Supervisor Simpson. Do we have any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That one carries. Sheriff Martin tells me he has something
Yes,
as well.
I think
Would
he
this be a
does.
good time?
Yes.
Martin?
Thank you. Each year there is there's an agreement between the Sheriff's Office and the Washington, Saratoga, Warren, Hamilton, Essex Board of Cooperative Educational Services for career exploration internship programs, health occupation program, licensed practical nursing program, and New Visions health program, and nurse assisting program. It's sort of like a career exploration day that the Sheriff has with BOCES. We had this last year. On Friday, we were presented with the agreement for the 2015-2016 year. That's why it doesn't appear on your agenda. I've reviewed the agreement. It's very similar to the agreement that we entered into last year. There's one minor change that I'm going to be recommending, but I thought that since we were here today and since the school year is upon us, BOCES has presented this agreement, that if we could add this to the agenda and get this authorized. There's no cost to the county.
Supervisor Simpson, do you want to move that?
I'll move.
And do you want that as the change suggested by the county attorney?
Yeah, it just has to do with an insurance provision.
Okay. All right. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Supervisor Frazier. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and that carries.
Thank you.
No problem. Topics for discussion, Sheriff?
Yeah, we've filled 2 positions in corrections, one due to resignation, one new hire, and it's budget neutral.
Very good. Anything else for the sheriff this morning? I know he has to go, so we don't want to hold him up for too long. No? All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Brian.
Anytime, sure.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, Amy. All right. Welcome, Brian.
You ready?
We are.
All right. Item 1 is a request for travel for myself to attend the statewide Interoperable Consortium Conference, which is going to be in Oriskany on the 10th. We've been pushing for this for a long time, but this is the first state-organized meeting of all the interoperability consortiums in the state, actually the leadership from each of those getting together and talking about the common statewide issues. So that's being paid for by the state.
Motion by Supervisor Gerard, seconded by Supervisor Taylor. Any discussion? Hearing none.
What? Okay. Number 2, resolution request to...
Brian, we haven't actually voted yet.
Oh.
We gotta vote.
All right, go ahead.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we'll go to number 2. Thank you, Brian.
You ready?
We are ready.
Okay. Number 2, resolution request to amend both sides of the 2015 budget in the amount of $48,000. This is money from our 2015 SHSP, the Homeland Security Grant. This is so we can move ahead with purchasing from that grant.
Okay, do we have a motion? Motion by Supervisor Frazier, is there a second? Supervisor Taylor, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, that carries.
Number 3 is a request for transfer of funds, $4,200 from the general fund to our civil defense account. In working with Highway Superintendent Tennyson and the representative from Clark Patterson, we met and went over a number of things, and they developed this price, which would be necessary for them to look at the layout and develop a cost for what it would take to actually produce this building or have this building erected.
All right, do we have a motion? Anywhere out there? Motion by Supervisor Seaver, do we have a second to get it on the floor? Supervisor Gerard, all right, any questions? Okay, hearing none. Wait, Supervisor Gerard, did you have a, I saw the
I
hand.
guess, do you have it in your budget, or how are we gonna pay? Is that the next?
Oh, this is a request to bring it from the general fund.
I believe he wishes to transfer it out of contingent, and I think it would go to finance after here.
Okay, I just like,
Yep. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries.
Number 4 is a request to apply for the FY15 Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant. This is a grant we've done each year, and we're doing it again in cooperation with other members of our HAZMAT consortium. That's for $70,000. This is just a request to apply for.
All right, motion by Supervisor Simpson, do we have a second? Supervisor Seaver, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That one carries.
Under pending items is the same referral back to facilities to talk about the storage building, and I've given you the update. Basically, hopefully Clark Patterson will be able to give us an idea what this thing ultimately will cost, and then that'll come back to this group. Hazard mitigation, Amy has a hazard mitigation update on where we are with that scenario.
As most of you know, back the first week in July, we went out to all of the towns, the city and the village, and we sat down with everybody as a group and talked about last plan's mitigation measures, what was completed, what wasn't completed, and how we're moving forward. There's an invitation in front of you, and I think Amanda sent this out to some of the shareholders as well. We're having a meeting on September 22nd in the Sheriff's Office. FEMA will be there giving a presentation, and this is a follow-up to the meetings that we did in July. We're specifically getting into those mitigation measures that were talked about. We want to make sure they're all in the plan correctly, so there's no questions. The last time we did the plan, when it came time to approve it, people were like, oh, well, I'd like it tweaked a little, or I thought of one more thing. This gives us the opportunity to make sure things are in there correctly. At this point in time, there may be some very, very rough draft documents for the town, the city, and villages to look at, in particular, of the stuff that they had already talked about in July. If you want to, we need somebody to come from each municipality. Doesn't necessarily mean we need the town supervisors to all come to this, but possibly the town supervisor, possibly the highway superintendent, but we need some representative from each incorporated jurisdiction. We also have some some department heads coming, because of things that were mentioned. In particular, disease outbreak was brought up, so Pat Auer is going to attend this meeting to address that possible mitigation strategy. And you can just call our office to RSVP. The other thing that I don't have a handout, because it's electronic, is we are conducting surveys. There's like a half a dozen different surveys. There's a regular community survey that we're going to be putting on our website, and we're going to be putting it on Facebook and our Twitter account and stuff to get the public's input as far as different disasters that they've dealt with, and how they've dealt with them. For instance, did they have some damage to their house? How did they rectify that? Did they do any mitigation measures when they were fixing it? In addition to that, there's one that's going out to the highway, one to fire, one to EMS, one to schools, and so forth and so on. So we'll be sending those out electronically. You can fill it out yourself as a community person, and then if there's another survey that fits your needs or fits your criteria, if you're a volunteer firefighter or whatever and you wanna fill out the fire one, you can do that one as well. But please forward it out, to anyone and everybody. The more people we have respond, the better plan we're gonna end up with. Okay? That's it.
Okay. Anything else this morning to come before the Public Safety Committee? Okay, then just before we adjourn, I wanna take this opportunity to thank Brian, and the Sheriff's Office. Last week, we had an outage for phone service in the town of Thurman. 911 service was a concern for us. They acted very, very quickly, and they were extremely responsive when I called, even though I called them like at 8:30 at night, and all different times I was on the phone with them. But they always took the call, and we got the service back in like 24 hours when Verizon was actually saying it was gonna be more like 3 days. So I wanna just thank all of our folks here, in the Sheriff's Office and OES, because they really went above and beyond for our town, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right, anything else then this morning? All right, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Supervisor Simpson, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. All those in favor? All right, thank you.